Real quick, this is a video of a pastor, and he's in a church service, and the police come to serve him papers because he's holding church service and he's not supposed to. Now, this is in Canada, but I want you to understand that many of the basic principles of law are the same in all countries or most countries around the world. And I'm talking about just the basic principles of law. And he tells them, I want you to pay attention to where he tells them this is not a registered organization. And the reason why he says that is because only registered organizations agree to be regulated by the government. If you don't register your business or your organization, they have no authority. They have no control. They can only try their hardest to contract you. Now, I have done this before. I have started a business and not registered it. And they have sent me papers after papers after papers to try to get me to contract with them, to try to get me to agree to be under contract with them so that they can then charge me money and regulate me and come and inspect me and all these other things. And I just kept writing no contract on their papers and sending them back. And so this pastor, he says, this is the second time they come here and I kick them off both times. So listen to what he says, because he tells them, this is not a registered organization yet. She keeps continuing trying to say, if you could, and may I, and can I, because she can't tell him you will, because a contract has to be a mutual agreement. So she can't say you're going to do this, because then it's a contract by force, which null and voids the contract. So she's asking him, if you could just do this, if you could just do that. It's the same thing the cops do. If, they don't even now say, I'd like to, or can you step out of the car? They just say out of the car, driver's license, registration, insurance. They don't say it as either a command or a request. They try to avoid those words. And that's one of the tricks that they use. So he takes the paper, which is something I would have never done. I would have never taken the paper. I would have said, no contract, get out of here. I'm not registered. You're in the wrong place. But he handled it well. He handled it very well. And eventually the lady starts running off when he gets loud. Now, he shouldn't have ever had to get loud. He should have said no, and then that's it. She should have left. She should have respected his wishes. But these people are really like salespeople. The cops, the service people, they're trying to serve you papers. They're really just salespeople trying to get you to contract with them so that they can bring you in under their jurisdiction. Okay, so now I'm playing the sound on my phone and recording the screen so you can see it, but it might be off a little bit on the
in our church again, coming authorities. So I'm going to go out and see what they want. Yes, hello, Walter.
Hi, Arthur. I wonder if I could just give you a couple of things in a court order. This is for you. It basically outlines the fact we have the right to enter today. What I would really...
Please, we don't have to get into a personal space. Well, you're in my personal space, so...
Can I explain to you, Arthur?
I'm not really interested in what you have to say.
Can I explain to you?
I'm reading.
Okay. What we want to do is make sure that we're not going to disrupt anything in the service. The idea is...
you have it wrong. This is not street church. This is not street church. You have it wrong.
Both things are actually on there. Both churches are detailed on there. So if we could come and do
the Cave of Adullam is not a registered organization, and this is not street church. So you have it wrong.
So you heard that. He said, this is not a street church and this is not a registered organization. That means he never registered with them so that he could be brought in under their jurisdiction and be regulated by them. So the same applies in the United States, the federal government. They have to get permission from you. And they get that permission through you using their forms, and their forms are advertisements. And then they use more forms to send to you as notices, or they act like they're bills, and they're offers to contract. They're just advertisements, and so they're like salespeople saying, "Hey, I want to charge you all this money and pay it." And then if you don't say anything back, then they just say, "Well, they must have meant to go along with it because they didn't say no. So if you don't say no, then you must mean yes." The problem with many of the places that do this in the United States, for one, they're not acting as part of the government because the government is not authorized to do that kind of thing. So they hire on these corporations to do it for them. So these corporations are doing the government's dirty work that the government's not actually allowed to do. So the government is allowed to make contracts, but the contracts are supposed to be for defense with a C, not an S. An S is vengeance, a C is to fortify. So how are they using the contract clause to contract with people to bring them in under a jurisdiction that it doesn't actually have, using defense when defense is only meant to fortify the country? So if you register your business, if you register your organization, being your church, your profit, your nonprofit, any kind of business with the state or the United States, then you're registering with the federal government so that you could be under its jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is power and authority so that it can control you, and you do it through your own agreement. And you do it because you've been told, not that you read it, but you've been told, because if you read it, you would know that you didn't have to, and it's not a law. So you've been told you have to, it's the law. That's another sales tactic. It's a deceptive practice. What do salesmen use? They use a lot of deceptive practices to get you to do things, to get you to buy things, to get you to take things that normally you really wouldn't want, but they use these things to get you to do it. If you notice in this, she says a lot, if you could, if I may. Okay, even when they write the regulations that don't require you to do anything, it says may, can, words like that. So they're words that don't command you to do anything. They don't ever command you. In the law, they command only those under its jurisdiction, which are those on the federal lands. So I'll go ahead and keep playing the video.
Do your homework.
And I'll try to get the timing the same. And then you can listen and you can see that try to see that these are salespeople in uniforms and guns. The police are policy enforcers that she is trying to contract with him, and she's trying to use intimidation, because you can use intimidation, you just can't use force. And really you can't use intimidation, but they do it, and I've never read that intimidation would void a contract. I think that would be hard to prove, but you can use deceptive practices. And you just have to be aware, you have to understand, you have to know what's going on, you have to be on your toes, and this guy really was. So let's watch a little bit more.
Before you come, okay? You have a wrong organization.
Okay, that is for you, Arta.
Yeah.
We'll send it to you by email too, if you'd like. I just wanted to be able to come today and then at least explain the order, serve the order, and then we can stand at the back.
No, you can contact. No. You can contact my lawyer. Okay, my lawyer takes care of this. I'm not interested to listen to any word you have to say. I do not cooperate with Gestapo. I do not talk to the Nazis. You came in your uniforms like thugs. That's what you are. Brown shirts of Adolf Hitler. You're Nazi, Gestapo, communist, fascist. I do not cooperate with Nazis. Talk to my lawyer. You're not allowed here. You're not welcomed here. And I'm not going to cooperate with Gestapo like you, okay? So is that fair enough for you? Talk to my lawyer.
I just wanted to explain a little bit about the order.
I'm not interested.
At least have a conversation.
I'm not interested in talking. You see, this is what the Gestapo is doing. You're coming to the place of worship to intimidate and to harass. So you can make an appointment. Lady, listen to me. You can make an appointment another day.
Okay,
You Gestapo,
you don't need to shout.
another day.
You don't need to
Not this day.
shout.
Not this day.
Okay,
Not during the church.
okay,
You understand? Make an appointment.
okay, fine.
Okay. So go. See you later on. Have a good day. You are sick. That's what you are.
Okay, so you heard that, and so the other thing you have to explain is that if this were America, these people would say they were from state of and whatever state you're in, and they would say, well, we're the state of such and such, and you you are breaking the laws, and then you tell them, well, I'm not registered to come under your jurisdiction and be regulated by you. So this is Canada. The video is in Canada, but it works exactly the same way. This guy was telling her, I'm not registered, and she's still trying to sell to him. Please, if I could just talk, if I could just do this, if I could just, because you can't command someone that you have no right to command. And the only people that the government has the right to command, rule, and regulate are the military. To order, to write executive orders for is the presidential power for the military. There's no ruling or ordering people who don't register their businesses or their organizations to be regulated by the federal government. There's no regulations that they come under. And if you're just a guy minding your own business or a gal minding your own business, they still don't have any control over you, okay? Because you're not on federal lands, and that's what our Constitution says in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, to make the laws for the federal lands, the seat of government being the district called District of Columbia, which is a territory under a jurisdiction where some group of people have jurisdiction. That group of people is the Congress. And then it says, and lands purchased for the erection of these types of buildings. So there's nothing in the Constitution that allows for the regulation of people or their commerce. And if you say, well, the Commerce Clause and the tax and this and that, no, that's for the federal lands. That the Congress was saying that they have the right to make these laws on the lands purchased and the seat of government, because as part of the contracts with the lawful state, which a lawful state is created by the inhabitants and settlers, the people who come in and build that, actually do the work and build that state up and institute a government for its own benefit, they make the state, they make the real state. Now the government, once it got so big, decided to make its own state and bring everybody in under that. That's unconstitutional. The Commerce Clause and the Tax Clause and the tax laws apply only to them and only on federal lands, because they receive compensation for their services. They receive money. They have to regulate the things that come on and off the federal lands, okay, because those things have to be taxed. And the tax laws are the agreements with the lawful state and the people of the lawful state. So they can't just take resources and claim them as theirs. They have to be taxed in order that they can acquire money and pay the state back for those resources. And they tax the salaries of the federal officers and employees so that they can provide them with housing and medical and benefits, like retirement benefits and benefits for when they fight in a war and they get injured and they have to go to a military hospital. Okay, so that's what the state of whatever, like for me, state of Texas, was originally created for. It was to be able to administer contracts between the lawful people, which are of the territory of Texas, and the federal government, to provide for the people on the federal lands inside the territory of Texas. But what they started doing was they started contracting. They started contracting with businesses to help provide for those services to the federal people. But then what they did was they started using these policies and these corporations to do dirty work for them that they weren't actually allowed to do. So like I said, they take these people that they contract with, and they try to get you to come in under policy and under organizations and corporations so that you can pay also the federal tax that you were never supposed to pay. So you can also be regulated. So the police can come break your door down and serve you and take your stuff and all these other things. And so that's why he says this is not a registered organization. So his church must be on private property, not registered as doing business with the local or state or parish or whatever he's in Canada. I don't know for sure what they're called, but here it would be, you're not registered with the county, you're not registered with the state, you're not registered with the federal government. This is all just a big scheme. It's tricks and schemes and deception and lies. And the only way they can get you in under them is for you to somehow agree, whether you take their papers, sign their papers, claim to be a citizen of the United States, give them a birth certificate, give them a social security number, give them a driver's license number. They have contracted with you over and over and over and over again. And then when they want to do the next thing, they bring papers to you, they bring the cops, they try to intimidate you, they harass you. Take my contract, take my contract, take my contract, take my contract. And if you don't, guess what? It's a domino effect. Because you're going to go out and you're going to tell other people, well, if I don't register with them, I don't have to wear a mask. I don't have to stop church. I don't have to separate by 6 feet. I don't have to send my kids to this public school. I don't have to get a vaccination. I don't have to pay taxes. I don't have to do all these things. So if you think everybody has to pay their fair share, then you don't know what the Constitution says, and you don't know what the laws say, and you're just repeating propaganda like a parrot sitting on a perch who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So you have to stop taking their papers, and I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just giving a list of the things that I believe to be true. You have to stop registering with them, taking their papers, signing their papers, claiming their numbers as yours, taking the benefits, talking to the cops, getting a driver's license, registering your property. You have to stop doing all of that. And that, to me, in my opinion, that's the way out. So I hope you enjoyed this. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.